The scuba diving around Phuket is considered to be some of the best in Thailand and offers a diverse and really enjoyable underwater adventure. In this video, I'll take you through our 2 days of boat diving from Phuket, show you what we saw, and give my recommendations on maximizing your underwater experience. Phuket is a popular holiday spot, and given its proximity to some great dive sites, it's no surprise that the island is filled with dive shops and infrastructure to provide for divers. And given its affordable price levels, it's actually a great place to also take diving courses, from beginner level open water to advanced or even specialty courses. We did our diving in August during low season, or monsoon, which lasts from May to October. But during the high season, from November to April, typically the seas are calmer, visibility is better, and there's a much better chance of seeing larger sea life like manta rays and even whale sharks. Since we were staying in Kata Beach, we went with the nearby highly rated PADI certified dive shop, Rumblefish Adventures. Phuket doesn't have that many dive spots right offshore, so a longer boat ride on a larger, seagoing vessel is required to get to most sites. Most island dive shops tend to cooperate with large dive boat operators that have compressors, kitchens, and all the equipment and crew needed for a diving operation. Each dive shop then provides their own gear, instructors, and dive masters on the larger boat. On both of our 2 days of diving, we rode to the Chalong Bay Pier, which is where a number of large dive boats are based. On both days, we were on the Mandarin Queen 5, which was a large boat that could accommodate around 50 divers. It was very comfortable, had a number of decks to hang out on during our cruise to the dive sites. The boat had a kitchen, and all the meals during the cruise were included. Breakfast right as we got on board, lunch after the first dive, snacks after the second dive, and even dessert after the final dive on the cruise back to port. Our first day of diving was around Raya Yai Island, which is about an hour-and-a-half boat ride south of Phuket. I can't recall precisely which dive sites we went to, but there was a lot of smaller fish, and on our second dive we encountered a few sea turtles as well. The third dive was at an artificial reef and a large purposely sunk boat with a number of openings cut into it for easy and safe penetration of the ship, even without a wreck specialty certification. The reefs had a bit of bleaching, but most of it was still relatively healthy. Because of the significant rains and winds the previous days, the visibility wasn't quite as good as we had hoped, but in most spots it was still at least 10 to 15 meters. The water temperature was around 27 degrees, and I wore a 3mm shorty, which was perfect. Our second day of diving was in the PP Marine Park, which was about a 2-hour sail from the pier. We again did 3 dives, at Koh Bida Nok, Koh Bida Nai, and Shark Point. Although it was a bit rougher on the surface, the visibility underwater and the coral and sea life was much more robust than where we had visited the previous day at Raya Yai. Above the water, the verdant karst islands that we dove around were absolutely stunning. Our final dive was to Shark Point, which of course is known for its leopard sharks. Although we have spoke to a few fellow divers who spotted a shark or two, unfortunately we didn't see any. One note, there's an additional 600 Thai baht, or about $18 per person fee for entrance to the PP Marine Park. That's collected in cash on the day the boat goes into the park. So be sure to have cash on hand if you take a trip into that region. None of the sites we went to were that technically demanding. Although there were some mild currents and a bit of surface choppiness, none of it posed that much of a challenge. The total price we paid per person for the 2 days was 8,000 Thai baht, which works out to about $120 per person per day, which included everything. All day on the boat, all meals, all equipment, 3 guided dives per day, and transport to and from our hotel. Which if you've ever priced out scuba diving elsewhere in the world, this was an absolute bargain. The cost for my daughter's PADI Advanced Open Water course was 12,900 Thai baht, which is about $385 US, and included all the online coursework, the 2 boat days, all meals on the boat, all her equipment, 3 instructional dives per day, and transport to and from our hotel. Again, I challenge you to find a place where you could earn this certification for less. Overall, we had a great time. Our experience with Rumblefish Adventure staff and instructors was perfect. The dive boat was comfortable and a relaxing way to travel to distant dive sites, and the entire experience was really an excellent value for the money. Although when you're on a dive boat that has 50 divers getting into the water at the same time, you'll occasionally encounter some underwater crowds. But the reefs and dive sites that we went to were large enough so this was really rarely an issue. Given though that this is a 9 to 11 hour long day with 3 different dives, by the time you get back to your accommodations, you'll be tired. We were glad that we only booked 2 days back to back. I think 3 days in a row might be a bit too much without a few days off. Thanks for tuning in. A subscribe would be sincerely appreciated and helps me to continue the channel.